Terence Crawford still undefeated now, 42-0 with 31 KOs, defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, 63-3-2. Moving up 2 weight divisions was a brilliant performance. We're going to analyse the actual performance and how good he was technically, tactically, physically later on in the show, and we talk about the pound for pound list, Spencer and I. But what I want to ask you is, given that the judges scored it 115, 113, 115, Tim Cheatham 115, 113, Max DeLuca 115, 113, Steve Weisfeld 116, 112. Yeah, 116, 112 is 8 rounds to 4. I had it 9 rounds to 3. I could even have scored it 10 rounds to 2. How did you have it?
Yeah, I had it 117, 111. I thought the scorecards
9 to 3 then, yeah?
Yeah, I thought the scorecards were way too close. But that was always going to happen with Canelo Alvarez to beat him in Vegas. We've seen a few fights go close before. Triple G was one that comes to mind straight away, where I thought Triple G had won the first fight for sure, and it didn't go his way.
Imagine this, Spence. If Terence had tripped over Canelo's feet late in the fight, let's say he tripped over and they'd scored that a knockdown, it would have been a majority draw.
Yeah.
And we'd have been screaming blue murder, wouldn't we?
Screaming.
We'd have got a rematch.
Yeah.
We might still get a rematch.
I was going to say that, by the way. That's the only place now for Canelo Alvarez to go to. We know he's still got a couple of fights left with Riyadh season in his contract.
I think he'll become like a Ronaldo, a Cristiano Ronaldo for Turkey Al Sheikh. That's what he seems to be setting up as. Get him 2 or 3 more fights, keep him busy, make him a brand ambassador for Riyadh season, get the Mexican audience to know, because obviously there's a big PR going on for Saudi Arabia. They want to conquer America, Latin America. They want to be known out there. Is a rematch possible?
Absolutely. For me, it's the only fight for Canelo Alvarez.
And Crawford will take it, won't he?
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because Crawford now is cashing in. You know, he's worked hard. This kid has grafted a 4-weight world champion, 3-weight undisputed world champion, and now he's getting what he deserves. He got, $10 million, I believe, for that fight. If they go into the rematch, you're going to 50. You're gonna
50 for Crawford.
Yeah.
150 for Canelo.
Well, if they go into the rematch, he's going to get 150 or whatever.
I think he'll get 100.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Canelo still gets another 100. Canelo, even though we talked about Mayweather years ago, and I want to make these comparisons in a minute, I will talk about the comparisons. Comparatively, in Mayweather's career, he got very close to earning $1 billion, mainly because of the Manny Pacquiao fight and the Conor McGregor fight, in which he literally earned $500 million for those 2 fights. When you look at Canelo, I want to just quickly, because we'll go into it a bit later on, what does Canelo need to do differently? Because my obvious thing is throw punches in bunches.
It's as simple as that. There's no rocket science to this, but it's whether he can still do that, because we've not seen that in recent times. So he needs to revert to what he used to do, and that was, that typical Mexican style, work the body so well, but throw punches in 3s and 4s and try and break the opponents down instead of trying to take them out with single shots. We said before the fight, Crawford, the reason I picked Crawford to win the fight before the fight was because of his lateral movement, the way he works the angles, boxes as well out of orthodox as he does southpaw, switches beautifully, effortlessly, and Canelo was never going to get away with just landing the single shots.
The thing is, I went for Crawford initially. I went for Canelo at the end, so hands up. But I thought Crawford could outbox him when I saw them together and saw they were the same size. Yeah. And he made the weight brilliantly. By the way, there wasn't there wasn't any fat on him. He went up brilliant. His body is extraordinary. Yes, the rematch potentially. Let's just compare, before we talk about the numbers of the fight, what's gone on Netflix, how powerful Netflix can now be in boxing, Dana White getting involved with Turkey Al Sheikh, the UFC coming into boxing, or TKO Holdings. Talk to me about Terence Crawford against Floyd Mayweather's record. Obviously, he never went up to super middleweight. He went to light middle at the time. Sugar Ray Leonard went up to middleweight. Who and how does Crawford compare with those 2 greats, Sugar Ray and Floyd?
Well, what Terence Crawford done there was put his name in the argument, because we're all going to have an opinion, and people are going to agree with me or disagree with me. But I said when Terence Crawford bet Errol Spence when he was back down at welterweight, when he beat Errol Spence, I said that performance was so flawless he would have beat any welterweight of any era.
But so was this at super middle.
And that's where I'm going. So I'm going now. He jumps up 2 weight divisions and beats a modern day great.
3, really.
Yeah.
3.
At 3, really. Yeah, but beats a modern day great in Canelo Alvarez,
He's
who
slowing
hadn't
a
been
little.
beat. Yeah, but hadn't been beaten for over 7 years, and he sort of like dominated each division and fitted into the super middleweight division very, very well. The way he effortlessly beat him, dominated from the opening bell and made it look easy.
Frustrated him.
When a fighter's inside and he's just tapping away and then whipping in a shot, you go, he's in his comfort zone.
Yeah.
He's actually he's enjoying
He made it look easy, didn't he?
Made it look easy.
Yeah.
He has to go down as one of the greatest to ever do it,
All right.
because what he's done.
Let me ask you the straight question then. 12 rounds with Floyd Mayweather, who wins? Crawford or Mayweather?
I'm going Crawford.
I'm going Mayweather just. But I think they have to have 2 fights.
How do you think Mayweather beats him?
Just by avoiding the punches and just outscoring him round by round.
Yeah, I see. I think Crawford is as good as Mayweather in a lot of departments, almost every department, but the difference with Crawford and Mayweather is that Crawford is a little bit more spiteful, puts the shots together, and I just think that he would have outworked Mayweather.
Mayweather live was spiteful when he wanted
Mayweather
to be. We don't give him enough credit for being tough and spiteful.
No, absolutely, he was tough. When you look at some of those fights, that fight he had with Maidana,
he look on the rope. He was pinned on the ropes for 6 rounds.
But he showed the toughness there. So I'm not denying that. I'm not denying that he was a great.
He schooled him in the rematch.
I'm talking about a guy. We're talking about guys from different eras, but I think that we'll look back on this in 10 years' time, because we always look at the past fighters as the best fighters of a.
Well, it's always the ones we've seen in our lifetime. I think I watched him live 20 times. I don't think I've seen. This is the first guy I've seen live, technically, in undefeated in my time watching boxing live, if you like, working on it, 35 years, where I've thought this guy probably could be a match for Mayweather. He's the only one.
Well, let's jump. Let's fast forward now. You've gone Mayweather. I've gone Crawford.
Well, what about Sugar Ray Leonard? Going back to Sugar Ray Leonard as well, because he's got that blistering hand speed and toughness and footwork.
He has. Leonard would have been a tough one to beat. If I'm honest, Leonard would have been a tough one to beat. It's one of those fights. Again, it's a flip of a coin. It really is.
Who wins out of Mayweather and Sugar Ray, first of all?
Sugar Ray.
Yeah, Colin Hart, the late, great Colin Hart, watched them both and always says Sugar Ray, but he's biased because it's his era. It was his era.
This is the thing. You're comparing different eras, and people that are going to be...
You can say Crawford beats all of them, and you can not get away with it, but you can justify that.
Gareth, that's what I said at the beginning of this conversation. It's in the argument.
Yeah.
And I go, and people that are listening to this might be saying, now I've just gone against Mayweather twice, and they'll go, well, you're a Mayweather hater. No, I'm not. I loved and appreciated everything he'd done. But when you're comparing certain fighters and what you like and what you don't like, I'm just tipping the other guy. And Crawford's the guy that I watch him and enjoy it.
Yeah, and you see those you close your eyes and you see those silhouettes moving, and you can see Crawford capable of beating anyone around his weight division. Maybe not all the way up to super middleweight. Like, I don't think he'd have beaten Roy Jones Jr. Let's not take it any further. No one beats Roy at super middle, in my view.
No, definitely not.
There we go. He was there, of course, last week.
He'd probably be listening to this, by the way, as well, and he'd kill me if I'd said any other.
He beat you up. Still beat you up. 41 million watched it on Netflix. Obviously, I was there in the arena. Quick take. 110 million watched Jake Paul and Mike Tyson for obvious reasons. 41 million is still a spectacular number. Loads of generations I know who watched it were very impressed with the show.
Yeah.
Obviously, you were cajoled to being stay at home with the family to watch it. How did you see it on Netflix? What did you think?
Listen, I thought they'd done a great job.
Undercard?
Listen, it was always going to be about the main event. The undercard wasn't the strongest.
Apart from Nobili and Martinez, I thought it was dull.
That's what I'm saying. But it was always going to be that. You get that when you have these mega super fights, all the focus is on these two guys, and I don't think that you need a particularly strong undercard, if I'm totally honest. But I thought Netflix, They showed that they get the audiences. 41 million is an incredible number. And if you look at like Jake Paul, if you compare it to Jake Paul, Mike Tyson is an icon. So people want to tune in.
He's one of the most famous people in the world.
Absolutely. People tune in and want to see those ring walks. And Jake Paul has his
50 to 70 million subscribers.
Absolutely, who's been doing stuff with Netflix anyway. So that was always going to get... We live in the world of entertainment, man, and that proof is in the pudding, but Netflix could be the way forward.
I'd like to coin that. We live in the world of entertainment, man. We do indeed, my friend. The last three, all three of the most watched fight cards in the last decade have been on Netflix. Obviously, the boxing landscape is changing for good. I think, DAZN is obviously doing a big job. A lot of the linear television channels are being phased out now. I think Amazon and Netflix and these big streaming services want to get involved in the game, and I get why, because they've got huge subscriber bases, and we know what our sport is. It's theatre, it's drama, it brings a touch of everything. To talk about Netflix, just before we go to break, I've watched the entire series. Matchroom, The Greatest Showman, that's now on Netflix. Father-son duo Barry and Eddie Hearn in their bid to take their heavyweight sports promotion company to the next level in the documentary series. I've watched it all. I think some of the editing was a bit disjointed. Barry Hearn comes across as an incredible figure. What he's created is unbelievable. Eddie's a little bit played down. It's worth a watch. I know you haven't seen it yet, so I won't spoil any more for our viewers and listeners and yourself, Spencer. If you were to choose very quickly before we go to break, a new Netflix series in our circus, in our sphere, what would it be?
Well, I want to see that, to be fair, because
if you were to create another one.
Wow, you've caught me on the off there. If we create another one, I'll have to come back to you on that one.
Would it be the life of Terence Crawford, perhaps? Would it be Saul Canelo Alvarez in Mexico? Would it be Katie Taylor's life?
No, I think that it would have to be like...
Moses Itauma?
Yeah.
Would that be good to get the cameras around
That would be great if you want to get into the life of these fighters today. Terence Crawford has an incredible story, by the way, as well.
Yeah,
and that would be a fascinating watch. Any boxer, actually, at the top of their game has a fascinating story because of where they've come from, the journey in between that, the roller coaster that it is. And, imagine looking back at, let's just say, going into the life of sort of Mike Tyson and getting a different angle, because we've seen it before with Mike Tyson, but getting a different angle on that and going back and stuff like they're all fascinating watches. They really are. I mean, there's so much scope in boxing for Netflix, for something like Netflix.
Because of narrative and storytelling.
Absolutely.
I was about to say, and you wouldn't say it yourself, I think your life story would be incredible, and I will try and get Netflix to make... I could be the narrator. Next weekend... you're heading to Nigeria for a boxing match. Yes. I'm heading to... Is Anthony Joshua on that card or not?
No, Anthony Joshua's not on that card. He might be there, though.
No, but they're talking about him getting a card in Africa very soon. I'm heading to Singapore for Crypto Fight Nights. But next weekend, if you weren't heading to Nigeria, are you working the Friday night?
Friday and Saturday.
Oh, you're working the Friday?
I'm going Nigeria on Sunday.
Okay. So you'll be working 2 events at the York Hall with our next studio guests after the break.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.